Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the 235-member Michigan Marching Band. Band, take the field. Under the direction of Professor Jamie L. Nix, the M Fanfare. Lady.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Anwar Youssef Dunbar, and this is Big Discussions 76 Sports. First of all, please like the stream, please share it, and please subscribe to my channel. Give me 1 second here. Let me do this. All right. So let's get this thing started. First of all, welcome. I meant to thank you to everyone who's here. First of all, I meant to get this thing going around 10:30, but sometimes things happen where you can't start right on time. Let me take a look over on YouTube to see how this looks. Okay, that's decent. Sometimes things happen as to where you can't start right on time. And sometimes I have this thing at night where one of my eyes gets uncomfortable and I don't get to get up when I want to get up. And so I got a late start this morning, so I had to push this back. And also at the last minute, I decided to stream over to Facebook. So this is simulcasting over on Facebook as well. And I think someone might have just friend requested me, probably because of this. Give me a second while I take a look here. Let's see if I know who this is. This might be a crypto person. Yeah, we don't have any mutual friends. She didn't go to Michigan, so that's a crypto person. So I'm not going to accept that friend request. Okay. So today, as I said earlier in the week, I took a brief hiatus. So I'm just trying to catch up on everything. There's a lot of Michigan football news. So I have some materials queued up that I'm going to share with you all. I probably won't read everything verbatim, but some things I'll flash on the screen so you can see them, and that'll provide talking points, and we'll go from there. So thank you to everyone who is there in the chat and who's watching right now. If you haven't, please like the stream. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. This channel recently went over 1,000 subscribers, and that's really, really cool. When you start a channel, you don't quite know how it's going to be received, and you don't quite know how people are going to react to you as a content creator. But this steadily built, week after week and month after month, and it recently crossed over 1,000 within the last 2 to 3 weeks, and I'm very grateful for that. I want to acknowledge. I told the sub who I think was the permanent 1,000th sub. I told him I would acknowledge him. And let me see if I can pull that up really quickly. Let's see. I'm not seeing it. Oh, yeah, there it is. Mitch Lyon. I want to salute to Mitch Lyon. Mitch Lyon is the 1,000th sub. I think I got to the number, and then as with what happens with YouTube, I got to the number, and then it went down, and then you need a few more to get it back up over the number. So I want to salute Mitch Lyon for being probably the permanent 1,000th subscriber. Okay, I see Herbert Lewis is there in the chat. So I'm going to read the Michigan Man poem before we jump in. I want to make this a regular part of my streams here, and Herb was nice enough to share the Michigan Man poem. And I didn't know the Michigan Man poem actually existed until Herb shared it. So this says, he grabs his chipped painted helmet, lunchbox, and sits and hits the sled. That's a Michigan man. The glitz and glamour is the muddy grass stained uniform he takes off after a game. That's a Michigan man. The Saturday autumn sun and leaving opponents blue after a loss is the aim of a Michigan man. His only mission, a win, a loss is unacceptable. Oh, geez. That's a Michigan man. He did what Bo knows. He did as Bo coached. That's a Michigan man. He despises the sousaphone. The state of Ohio is non-existent. Oh, boy. That's a Michigan man. He invests in silver, yet dislikes the colors because it's close to gray. Scarlet is the name of a fictitious character that's gone with the wind. That's a Michigan man. The only horseshoe he acknowledges is the one on the hoof of a racehorse. That's a Michigan man. So the next time someone asks you what a man is, you could answer in a myriad of ways, including, I do not know. However, when someone asks you what a Michigan man is, your reply should be accountable. That's a Michigan man. Shout out to Herbert Lewis for that poem. Okay, so before I jump in, if you notice in the back, there's no Jim Harbaugh bobblehead because my Jim Harbaugh bobblehead is right here at my office. We're moving, so I have to go into my office in about a week and a half to get all my goodies out. And I actually do have a Bo Schembechler bobblehead. So there's a Bo Schembechler bobblehead to go with my Jim Harbaugh bobblehead. And I'm doing a bit of a purge here at my place. And I also found my my Desmond Howard booklet. So a couple of years ago, when I went to back to Ann Arbor for a game, or to my department, the Michigan Department of Pharmacology, we have a store called the M-Den right there on State Street that sells all kinds of Michigan paraphernalia and books and pom-poms and coffee mugs and magazines and books of all kinds. And so I thought it was good. I wanted to get a copy of this Desmond Howard book. It turns out Desmond is actually from the state of Ohio. He's a Cleveland kid. I never knew that until I got this. So just a couple of things to get us started. Okay, so there's so much to talk about and so much to cover. I jotted some notes down here. So again, I have a bunch of things queued up in my browser. I'm not going to read everything verbatim. A couple things I will. But I'm going to try to get through it all. Some things I might just flash. So looking at my little my notepad here, why don't we start with, I thought this would be interesting. Why don't we start with the Michigan players who were taken in the NFL draft? So I'm going to do my screen share here, and we'll just take a quick look at the players that are gone, who are now going to play on Sundays. Give me 1 second here. I'm sure Abdul Gaines will enjoy this part as well. He came up with a very clever nickname for one of the players taken in the NFL draft. Okay. And once again, I want to thank you guys all for being here. This YouTubing thing, without let's see. The browser can't access your screen. Try capturing a different screen. See if this continues. Oh boy, what's going on here? Give me 1 second, guys. We're having something technical going on. Let's see. Okay, so I can see myself over on YouTube. This is still going. I see that I have 9 likes. Let me refresh. Okay, there's an ad. Okay, let me skip the ad. Okay, so there's me staring at the screen. Okay, so let me try the screen share one more time. That's never happened before. Share screen. Let's see, where is it? Where is it? Let's see. Okay. That time it worked. This technology, you never know with this technology. And you never know when your stream is going to be taken down as you're talking. That happened over on my science channel. By the way, guys, if you look now, if you look at the chat now, there is a the super chat has been enabled for my channel. So if you guys want to donate something there in the super chat, you can do that. In the past, I've described my Cash App and those things, but if you want to leave a super chat right now, you can do that, whether it's $1, 50 cents, or something. One of the controversial things about the super chat is that I think Google keeps about 30% of it. So a lot of content creators don't actually like using the super chat because Google keeps a piece. But at this point, I don't care. Okay, NFL players, Michigan players taken in the draft. Okay, so I think the first one to go was Kwity Paye, 21st overall. Abdul Gaines came up with a clever nickname for Kwity Paye, which is Quitter Pay. So Abdul Gaines likes to call Kwity Paye Quitter Pay. So he went 21st to the Indianapolis Colts. Jalen Mayfield went 68th overall to the Atlanta Falcons. He is an offensive tackle, and Kwity Paye was a defensive end. Nico Collins. I was sad to see Nico Collins go, and I think Joe Milton absolutely felt the absence of Nico Collins. Nico Collins went 89th overall to the Houston Texans. So, assuming Deshaun Watson is still the quarterback of the Houston Texans, he'll have a nice big target to throw to in Nico Collins. Sheed is here. Sheed, we here. Thank you for being here, Sheed. Me and Sheed are going to team up on something fun over on my original channel tomorrow. That's Nico Collins. I thought he was underutilized in his time in Ann Arbor. Ambry Thomas. Ambry Thomas went 102nd or 102 overall to the San Francisco 49ers. He's a corner. He did not suit up for the Wolverines in the 2020 season. And I think that he was sorely missed. And I think that his absence helped account for our dismal performance on defense, especially in the secondary. Cam McGrone. I didn't know Cam McGrone was coming out. I was sad to see this kid go because this kid had a motor and this kid was a player. So Cam McGrone went 177th overall to the Patriots. So he's going to be playing for Bill Belichick. And quite a few Wolverines have been drafted by the Patriots. Let's see. There are a few more here. Ben Mason, our fullback, our linebacker turned fullback and then back to fullback, or is it linebacker, fullback turned defensive end and then back to fullback. So he went 184th overall to the Baltimore Ravens. So he's going to play. He's leaving one Harbaugh coaching staff for another Harbaugh coaching staff. Chris Evans had his troubles in Ann Arbor. Chris Evans was drafted 202nd overall. He got drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals. If I think back, Chris Perry, who was one of Lloyd Carr's star running backs, he got drafted by the Bengals. I don't think he had a long pro career. Let's see. Cameron Cheeseman got taken in the 6th round, and he was taken 225th overall. And he was drafted by the Washington football team. So he's coming here to the DMV. So, and I think that's it for the Wolverines that were taken. So this is interesting. So Ohio State had 10 players taken. Obviously, the most notable is Justin Fields. And Michigan had 8 players taken. Penn State had 6. Iowa had 4. Northwestern had 3. Wisconsin had 3. And Minnesota had 2. Nebraska had 2. Purdue had 2. Illinois had 2. Indiana had 1. Maryland had 1. And both Rutgers and Michigan State had 0 players taken in the NFL draft. Okay. So I'm going to stop that, and I'm going to close that window because the reason the screen share might not have worked is because I have so many windows open. So I'm going to stop that one, and I'm going to cross this off my list here of things to get to. I'm going to cross this out. Let's see, I'm going to stop that. I'm going to close that. All right. Let's see. Abdul Gaines is talking smack about the Golden State Warriors. Wolf says the Buckeyes carry the Big Ten without OSU. The Big Ten would be Conference USA. Okay. Herb says played 76 trombones, led the big parade in his honor. Abdul Gaines says facts. Okay, Abdul Gaines went over to the Ohio State fan base, as many of you know. Wolf says, forget about going 0-4 against OSU. That's also a Michigan man. So there's some smack talk on the Michigan poem. Okay, so how many days till kickoff? Let's talk about that really quickly. And I do have the schedule queued up there. So let's talk about that. All right. Knock on wood, the screen share worked again. So how many days until kickoff? So the Wolverines' first game is against Western Michigan in the Big House. That's on September 4th. So here it is right there on the screen, 105 days. So that's about 3 months. So let's see, we're almost in June, July, August. Yep, that's about 3 months. Let's see, the next week, September 11th, of all days, the Wolverines have the Washington Huskies coming in. September 18th, Northern Illinois is coming in. That's another quote-unquote tune-up game. Well, that's a quote-unquote tune-up game. September 25th, Rutgers is coming in for homecoming. On October 2nd, the Wolverines are traveling up to Camp Randall to play the Badgers. On October 9th, the Wolverines are going out to Lincoln to play the Cornhuskers. Michigan versus Nebraska. On October 23rd, the Wolverines are hosting Northwestern, the Wildcats. On October 30th, the Wolverines are traveling up to East Lansing to play the Spartans. They beat us this past season. On November 6th, the Wolverines are hosting the Hoosiers. On November 13th, the Wolverines are traveling down to Happy Valley to play the Nittany Lions. The Nittany Lions beat us. And then these last two games. In the last two games, the Wolverines are traveling. They're actually coming here to play the Terrapins, the University of Maryland. And then on November 27th, the Wolverines are hosting the Buckeyes. Okay, so that leads me to, should I look at the chat after saying that one? But that leads me to my next bit of news. I'm going to stop the screen share and close that window. This was released. This came to my phone this week. They've actually scheduled the kickoff time for the Ohio State game. So let's see. This was updated on May 14th. So this one, I mean, normally, well, at least in past years, they don't give us the time until, probably a month before the game or weeks before the game. But they are. This is going to be a 12 noon kickoff in Ann Arbor. So, and I think maybe one of the reasons they're making this announcement so early is because the game got called off about 6 months ago, and that was a major controversy in the 2020 shortened COVID-19 season. So there were a lot of people who were in an uproar because Michigan probably opted out and made an executive decision to not play that game. It was attributed to an unusually high number of positives, but many people suspect that that game was not played because Michigan, because we didn't want to get our butts whooped. So, but the game is going to be on November 27th, and it's going to be a 12 noon kickoff. So let me cross that off the list of my things to get to here. So I'm going to stop this screen share. I'm going to close this window so my poor computer isn't doing too many things at once. And I hesitate to look in the chat to see what the reaction is to that, but I'm going to take a look anyway. And close that one. Let me make sure everything is okay over on the YouTube side. Yep. I'm still talking. I still see comments coming in. Let me refresh this so I can see how many likes I have. I have a smaller crowd today, but it's the off season. Let's see, skip this ad. Let's see what Wolf 58 has to say. Thank you, Corrine Henry, for being here. Wolf says, with the exception of the two MAC games, all other U of M games are very easily losable. And he also says, OSU versus Michigan always at noon on the Saturday following Thanksgiving. It's always been that way, right? By the way, U of M did chicken out last year. I thought there was one game. I thought there were one or two games where they kicked it off at 3 o'clock or something like that. But normally, yeah, it's a 12 noon game. Okay. So the next thing I want to get to is an announcement from Governor Gretchen Whitmer. So I'm going to read this one. I'm on the email list for the Michigan football program, so I get these updates pretty much whenever they're released from the athletic department. So this email reads, we're back. Okay. Knock on wood, the screen share has worked again. So this reads, Michigan Insider, the official email of the University of Michigan Athletics. And as you can see, that message says, we're back. So this reads, we hope you and your family are staying safe. We would like to provide another update from the state of Michigan regarding COVID and its impact on Michigan athletics event capacities for the 2021-2022 season. Earlier today, Governor Gretchen Whitmer made the following announcements. Beginning Tuesday, June 1st, all outdoor capacity limits will be removed, including at sporting events. Indoor settings will increase capacity from 30% to 50%. Beginning July 1st, all broad COVID restrictions will be lifted. For the time being, U of M will continue to follow our current face covering policy that requires masks indoors, on university transportation, and outdoors if in groups of 100 or more. Based upon this latest order and what we know now, this guidance from the state of Michigan clears the path for Michigan athletics events to return to full capacity beginning with the fall competition. Should federal, state, local, or campus public health guidelines change, we will update you as soon as that information becomes available. The last year has taught us how quickly the anticipated change, but we are optimistic and are planning to see everyone back again this fall. Prior to the fall season, we will communicate a set of general safety guidelines and steps that our department has taken to ensure the health and safety of student athletes, staff, and guests. Excuse me. For more information regarding the COVID-19 pandemic, please visit uofmhealth.org. Thank you, and go Blue, Michigan Athletics. Okay, that's huge because, as you guys know, pretty much the majority of the stadiums were empty during the 2020 season. And that was kind of, as a fan who has, as an alumnus who has been to the games numerous times, who has been inside the big house, and who has, watched the games on TV. I mean, that while the game taking place on the field is the main attraction, the whole atmosphere is also comprised of the band and the fans in the stands cheering. Whether or not the fans are cheering for the team or booing the team, that's a part of it. And so to see the teams in there, particularly inside the big house with no fans in there, that was strange. So just imagine, and that's why I used this backdrop for today's wallpaper. That's what the big house looks like when it's full. And it was kind of eerie to see that the game's being played and the players out there competing with no fans and the stands empty. I think they tried to put in, just like with the NBA bubble, they tried to put in the artificial sounds of fans cheering, but it just wasn't the same without having the fans in there. So that's huge. So hopefully that all goes through as planned. And I will probably try to go back up for a game or two this season. I'm trying to focus here. Wolf put something in the chat, and I'm going to get around to that, but I'm going with some other things first. Okay, let me show the comment. All right. So we're going to get around to this, Wolf. Just be a little more patient. So I'm going to stop my screen share, and I'm going to cross that off my list. Okay, I'm going to close that window. All right. Let's talk about the quarterback position, which was arguably at the center of the chaos of the 2020 season. I'm going to queue up this picture. If I can find it. If you're new coming into the stream, please hit that like button. I'm trying to stay focused. Wolf wants to go to a specific place that I'm not ready to go yet. There it is. This is the thumbnail for this live stream. Cade McNamara, so the quarterback position was at the center of the controversy of one of the many controversies for the 2020 season. And this article, I think it's in Maize and Brew, is saying that the coaching staff has made their choice in terms of who the guy is going to be. This says Michigan has a starting quarterback in April, and that's important. I'm actually going to read this one. And it reads as follows. During the Jim Harbaugh era at Michigan, the term meritocracy has been used often. In short, may the best man win in vying for a starting position. Meritocracy has been used across the board to describe position battles, but none more than the quarterback position, where Michigan is known to not name a starting quarterback before the season kicks off. Things feel different in Ann Arbor this year. Across the board, major shakeups were made to the Michigan staff after a disappointing 2020 season. Another change may be the fact that Michigan already has their starter at quarterback here in April. New quarterbacks coach, former Baltimore Ravens assistant coach Matt Weiss, spoke this week about the quarterback room and had glowing things to say about Cade McNamara. Weiss defended McNamara and called out his critics, saying that he believes the quarterback will have a fruitful NFL career. All right, that's very optimistic. Cade is a guy who I think for everything that people are going to say to criticize him is going to end up playing 10 years in the NFL, Weiss said on John Jansen's In the Trenches podcast. You can say he's not enough of this or enough of that, but at the end of the day, he's very smart. He makes great decisions. He processes things. He's very fast, and his accuracy and arm strength are more than enough to win with. Those comments from Weiss show that he feels McNamara can bring the offense, but Weiss wasn't done just there. He went on to call McNamara Michigan's starting quarterback. He's a guy that's been awesome to work with. He's extremely valuable to our team. He's our starter. Love the fact that we have him, Weiss said. Michigan's starter, Cade McNamara. Behind McNamara is true freshman J.J. McCarthy, who has a lot of potential, but realistically needs time to strengthen his frame and get acclimated to the speed of college football along with Michigan's playbook. He's impressive in a lot of ways. I think for him, it's really just a question of when, not if, Weiss said. As it stands, McNamara has blossomed into more of a leader in the locker room. He has a solid understanding of what's required of him within the offense, and he has in-game experience. Those things all matter and add up. Cade specifically, with his experience coming back and having game reps, offensive coordinator Josh Gaddis said about McNamara in March. I might not have read that the best way. I think that's provided some confidence in his play and confidence in his demeanor as a leader on the team. We're very, very pleased. For those who don't buy into coach speak, McNamara's teammates have echoed the same type of comments. Cade's finally starting to take a more commanding role, offensive lineman Andrew Stuber said in March. It's different because last season, he obviously played for us a little bit, but it's obviously different when you think you have the starting job and now you have command of the offense. You take much more pride in it, much more intent in it. It's important to note that Jim Harbaugh hasn't come out and officially called McNamara the starter, but the writing is on the wall and he'll be under center this fall, barring any unforeseen circumstances. McCarthy is expected to have a great Michigan career. Dan Villari, an incoming Texas Tech transfer, Alan Bowman, could even see the field at some point, but it sure seems like McNamara is the guy, and that's good. That's a good change of pace for Michigan. The quarterback position is arguably the most important and crucial one in all of sports, and to have a legitimate number one option months before the season begins could lead to more offensive cohesion in the fall. It's important that the locker room remains unified And it's also important that Michigan doesn't create a situation where between the media and the fans, a narrative of McNamara versus McCarthy is created where headlines and general thoughts become divisive. Of course, the two quarterbacks are competing. Of course, they both want to be the starting quarterback, but they're both good teammates and will be supportive of one another. McNamara appeared in 4 games last season, going 43 of 71 for 425 yards and 5 touchdowns. Okay, so it looks like from this, Cade McNamara is going to be the guy. But as we know in sports, all kinds of things can happen between now and the start of that first game. I can think back to when Chad Henne came in as a freshman. Matt Gutierrez was supposed to take over the quarterback position for John Navarre. And Matt Gutierrez tore his rotator cuff, and he couldn't play. And once Chad Henne got a hold of that quarterback position, that was it. So Matt Gutierrez, who was supposed to be the starter, wound up transferring, I think, to San Diego State or somewhere out west where he was from. And that was it. So injuries definitely play a role. And you could declare your starter and things could be planned out early on, but you never really know how things are going to shake out. But that's certainly a good sign if they found a quarterback now that they think is going to be the starter for kickoff against Western Michigan in September. Let's see. So we cross that off my list. I'm going to go over all the comments and see what you guys are saying once I get done. I only have a few more pieces to present in this live stream. I'm going to stop the screen share and close this article out. I really do ask this computer to do a lot of things. And I'm thinking about upgrading my my setup here a little bit. So my live stream on Monday discussed Maurice Linguist, our former co-defensive coordinator, leaving Ann Arbor for my hometown of Buffalo. And so around the time of that happening, I started seeing the name Clinkscales pop up. And I didn't, I wasn't paying strong attention to who it was, but it turns out it's this gentleman right here, Stephen Clinkscales. So I'm going to read this because if you when you go back, Jim basically cleaned house, got Don Brown out of there, and he brought in Mike McDonald from his brother John's coaching staff in Baltimore. And he got Maurice Linguist to come up from Dallas. And it looked like that Maurice Linguist or Mo Linguist was in charge primarily of the secondary. And with Ambry Thomas going pro, we had Daxton Hill back there, but our secondary got torched against Michigan State. It got torched against Wisconsin, and it got torched against Penn State. So I think Mo Linguist was brought in to really shore that secondary up, and now he's gone to the UB Bulls, which is one of my hometown college teams, and this Clinkscales gentleman was brought in to replace him. So this is Steve Clinkscale, our new defensive passing game coordinator / defensive backs coach. Let's see. Yeah, it's Saturday. I have time to read this. I'll read it. Let me switch the screen share so we can find out some more about this gentleman. By the way, Wolf, I did ask. He hasn't said anything. Let me check my phone here. I did suggest to Buckeye Alex because I did put Ohio State football in the trailer for this channel. I did make a recommendation to Buckeye Alex that we do something discussing what's happening down in Columbus, as we head up to as we approach the 2021 season. And also after Justin Fields left, I did suggest to Alex, hey, why don't we do something surrounding the Ohio State program and what's happening down in Columbus. So that may be something that we do. I know Alex has a bunch of things going on. So, but I did put that in my trailer for this channel. So that's a potential thing. So this one reads, Clint Scale named defensive passing game coordinator, defensive backs coach. And this was dated May 12th, 2021. Let's see. Jay Ira and Nikki Harris family head football coach. That's Jim's official title. Jim Harbaugh announced the hiring of Steve Clinkscale as the program's defensive passing game coordinator and defensive backs coach. Clinkscale replaces Mo Linguist, who was named the head coach at the University of Buffalo on Friday, May 7th. Go Bulls. Steve was a highly respected and talented football coach who has developed outstanding defensive secondaries at each of his coaching stops, said Jim Harbaugh. I have followed and admired Steve's coaching for years, tried to hire him a few times, and I'm glad that it all came together where we could bring Steve to Michigan. He will be a great addition to our coaching staff, and our student athletes will benefit from Steve's experience and instruction. Michigan football welcomes Steve, his fiancee Elaine, and his children to the Michigan football family and university community. Coach Harbaugh and I have developed a relationship over the years, and this will be a great opportunity to work together, Clinkscale said. I look forward to meeting our players and working with them to develop their skill sets on and off the field. I wish to further the tradition of excellence here at Michigan and look forward to helping make a difference in these young men's lives. Go Blue. Clinkscale joins the Wolverines staff after spending the past 5 seasons at the University of Kentucky after head coach Mark Stoops under head coach Mark Stoops in the Southeastern Conference. Clinkscale mentored the defensive backs during the entirety of his tenure and added the title of defensive pass game coordinator in 2021. The Wildcats intercepted 57 passes in his 5 seasons, and Clinkscale's secondary was responsible for 43 of them, 75.4%. UK was top 4 in the SEC in pass defense for Clinkscale's 3 seasons. He led the league in 2019 and 2020. UK was top 4 in the SEC in pass defense for Clinkscale's final 3 seasons, leading the league in 2019 and 2020. The team also led the conference with 16 interceptions in 2020, which ranked 3rd nationally. Clinkscale arrived in 2016 and began molding a secondary that had delivered all 13 of the team's interceptions in his first year. All SEC safety Mike Edwards, a Super Bowl champion with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led the secondary with 100 tackles and was part of a trio of Wildcats who each intercepted 3 passes. In 2017, Clinkscale helped lead UK to a bowl game for the first time in 8 seasons as the secondary made 9 interceptions, and Edwards was all conference once again. We're almost at the end here, guys. The 2018 season was one of the best in UK history as the team posted a 10-3 record and finished number 12 in the final Associated Press poll, both program bests since 1977. Edwards picked up his third All-ACC recognition and became the second defensive back in program history to record 300-plus tackles in his career, totaling 10 interceptions with 2 returned for touchdowns. He was selected third in the 2019 NFL Draft by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, joining teammate Lonnie Johnson, Derek Beatty, and Chris Weststreet as Wildcats with NFL opportunities. The 2019 secondary replaced its top 6 producers from the 2018 season and still ranked second nationally in fewest touchdown passes allowed and third in passing yards allowed per game. Clint Scale was the secondary coach at the University of Cincinnati for 3 seasons, during which the team played in 3 consecutive bowl games. He was defensive coordinator during his final year when the Bearcats ranked third in the American Athletic Conference in pass yards allowed. Clint Scale worked at Illinois for 1 season in 2012, and after 3 years at Toledo, where he was special teams coordinator and cornerbacks coach. UT had top 20 kickoff return and punt return units under his direction, and he mentored Eric Page and one of the top return men in the country. Page was first team All-MAC at 3 positions and was the only FBS player to return 3 kickoffs for touchdowns in 2010. Page was a first and third team All-American in his final 2 years and was a finalist for the Paul Hornburg Award, given to the nation's most versatile player. Toledo improved defensively in each of Clint Scale's 3 years, dropping points allowed by nearly 10 per game from 2019 to 2010, while upping turnovers by 61%. Under his direction, the Rockets consistently ranked among the nation's best in turnovers. Clint Scale joined the coaching staff of his alma mater, Ashland, after graduation and coached the defensive backs for 7 years, adding linebacker duties in his final season, also while serving as the team's academic liaison. 2 players, Devin Conwell and Torrey Carter, became All-Americans and Cactus Bowl participants during Clint Scale's tenure, with Conwell earning the 2015 GLIAC Defensive Back of the Year honors. He spent the 2008 season as defensive backs coach at Western Carolina before heading to Toledo. A Youngstown, Ohio native, Clint Scale was a 4-year starter and a team captain at Ashland University. He played in the 2000 Snow Bowl. Never heard of that bowl before. The Division II All-Star game that was predecessor to the Cactus Bowl. He earned his bachelor's degree in sports science with the concentration in therapeutic recreation in 2000. Clint Scale has 4 sons, Isaiah, Elijah, twins, Zion, and Zyvon. Hey, guys, I know that was a lot. Let me see who's still watching here. I've got 9. But what I've learned is for these live streams, they're bits and pieces you can clip off and upload as separate content. Shout out to Andy of the Jag Roar podcast for teaching me that trick. Wolf 58, since you're still here, there's something that occurred to me when I was reading about Mr. Clint Scale. Do you know what it is? Do you know why this might be a valuable hire for Jimbo? Or can anyone else answer the question why this might be a valuable hire for Jim Harbaugh? I'll wait a few minutes and I'll check Facebook to see. No one's commented from Facebook, so I don't think the Facebookers are watching, but I decided to simulcast to see if I can pick up some more subs over there. But Wolf, can you tell me why this might be a valuable hire? Bingo! All right. We're on the same. You like to diss our program, Wolf, but we're on the, as Michael Jordan did in the picture, we're on the same page here. Yes, this might be a strategic move from Jimbo. I don't know if it'll work or not, but it might be a strategic move to try to poach players from the state of Ohio, or to try to poach some more players from the state of Ohio. Though, as Buckeye Alex says, Ohio State's recruiting is nationwide now, so it might not matter in the long run, because Ohio State's getting guys from down south and out west. But this just might be a multi-level plan to do something like that. Because when you hire coaches, those coaches are also coming with their own ties to kids in other states. And the recruiting in the state of Ohio since Jim has been head coach, I don't want to say it's been abysmal, but I'll just say that Brady Hoke, let me pull up my Brady Hoke picture here. One of my favorite Brady Hoke pictures. I'll just say that Brady, I'm going to go ahead and read it, guys. This is an elite job and will continue to be an elite job. This is Michigan, for God's sakes. It's what it's all about. So Brady had a much stronger pipeline, ironically, of Ohio players than Jim Harbaugh has. And I think that would account for why Jim Harbaugh's first two Michigan teams were so strong. And that's because the roster was stocked full of Ohio players. I'm thinking about, let's see if I can name some of them. I think Davion. I have a video in my catalog discussing some of the Ohio players that Jim inherited from Brady Hoke. I can't think of them off the top of my head right now, but there were quite a few Ohio players on the 2015 and 2016 rosters, and I think Chris Wormley was one of those guys. Joe Bolden, Jim inherited Joe Bolden. Joe Bolden was an Ohio kid. He went back to coach at the Ohio State University. I don't know if he's still on staff there. Geez, I'm drawing a blank. I don't know. I think Davion Smith, even though he was Jake Butt, Treppa Coles, what's going on? Thanks for being here. Jake Butt was one of them. I want to mention Davion. I know that Jim started Davion those 2 years because he was really, really good at pass blocking. He wasn't the most explosive runner, but I think Davion was from Ohio. So I'm saying all this to say that Brady Hoke had more Ohio players, more good Ohio players on the roster than Jimbo has had. And I think the best Ohio player, by the way, the Ohio Players, that was an old R&B group, by the way, for those of you who don't know the Ohio Players. Best Ohio player Jim has had might have been Noah Furbush. So I'm saying all this to say that might be one of Jim's strategies in hiring Steve Plinscales to replace Mo Linguist. Taco Charlton, thank you, Treppa. And I know that there were others on that 2015 and 2016 roster that Jim inherited from Brady Hoke. So let me see what else I have here. Let me cross that off. Mo Linguist's replacement. And then we're eventually going to get to the thing that Wolf 58 really, really wants to talk about. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. As a YouTube content creator, you have to be careful of the things you talk about on YouTube. especially when you want to monetize your videos. Over on my science channel, I learned I had the unfortunate experience of YouTube taking down a couple of videos and then deleting the channel altogether, though I don't think they would care about this recent news coming out of Ann Arbor. And again, guys, that's a video, by the way, in my library, the players that Jim inherited from Brady Hoke from the state of Ohio. So let's see. Let me stop this. Michigan has received or has is the recipient of a notable grad transfer. Well, I don't know if he's a grad transfer. Well, let's read it and find out. If you're new coming into the stream, please like the stream. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. So here we go. So this is a bit of good news for the Michigan football program. This one reads, massive defensive tackle transfer Jordan Whitley commits to Michigan. Let me read that again. Massive defensive tackle transfer Jordan Whitley commits to Michigan. I have to slow down when I talk sometimes. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee and then read this article. So Trepa, I told Wolf, by the way, that I did reach out to Buckeye Alex, and I think it will be worthwhile since I did put it in my trailer for this channel. Shout out to my brother Amal for teaching me about trailers and movie making. I did put in my trailer Ohio State football. So as not to be disingenuous, I think I should do something covering the Ohio State program and what's happening in Columbus leading up to the 2020 season, because even though we are not your biggest rival anymore, and even though you guys don't care about playing us, the Michigan fan base will be looking at what Ohio State is doing during the season in anticipation of another butt whooping or in anticipation of potentially challenging you guys in a meaningful way. So I'm going to ask Alex if we can do something on what's happening in Columbus. Okay. So this kid right here, Jordan Whitley. So who is Jordan Whitley? The sub heading says the interior of Michigan's defensive line got about 360 pounds heavier as former Oregon State defensive tackle Jordan Whitley announced his commitment to the Wolverines. Let me see how many likes. Let me see how many likes I have on this stream. Okay, I have 11. If you're new coming in, please like the stream. Please like the stream. If you feel so inclined, I have the super chat option there now in my chat. So if you want to donate $1 or 50 cents or whatever, you're welcome to do so. Okay, so this reads, per his Twitter account, Oregon State transfer defensive tackle Jordan Whitley has committed to Michigan. I'm going to show you guys the full picture in my Twitter account after I read this. New defensive coordinator Mike McDonald is expected to employ a base 3-4 defense, which is why the Wolverines have been shopping for a true nose tackle. At 6'1", 358 pounds, Whitley is the type of player you need in the middle of a 3-4 defensive line. The big fella started out at Laney College in Oakland, California, where he played in 2017 and 2018. In 2018, he had 35 tackles, including 14 and a half for a loss and 5.5 sacks. He also had 2 pass breakups, which is impressive for his build. After 2 seasons at Laney, he transferred to Oregon State and did some nice things at times for the Beavers. In 2019, he had 14 tackles, including 3.5 for a loss or for losses. He only started one game, but he played in 14 and showed that he can plug up the middle of the line. Unfortunately, Whitley missed the 2020 season due to a tumor near his heart and potential COVID complications in conjunction with the tumor. Those are obviously very serious words, but he's been cleared for the 2021 season and should help out Michigan in a big way in the middle of that D line. It's going to be very interesting to see how Michigan uses Whitley because he's unique on the roster. In Don Brown's system, there wasn't really a spot for a 350-pound zero technique. In Mike Macdonald's 3-4, in Mike Macdonald's base 3-4, there is. Both Chris Hinton and Maisie Smith are north of 300 pounds, but Whitley's 358-pound body is needed at nose in a 3-4 scheme. I think he's going to play a lot and solidify the middle of the defensive front, allowing Michigan's athletic linebackers to run free. Okay, so there's the advantage. So we're changing schemes here. We've talked here ad nauseum about Don Brown's Viper. And I suspect after seeing lots of tape, the Big Ten adapted. And with the attrition at corner, it got pretty bloody last season. So with Don Brown going out, Mike Macdonald came in, and it looks like he's going to employ a 3-4. And so you need a nice nose tackle for that defense, it seems. And I think the advantage, you guys can discuss it here in the chat. I think the advantage of a 3-4 is that your linebackers are going to, get to run free and do multiple things that they wouldn't do in a 4-3. In a 4-3, you have that extra down pass rusher. But Mike Macdonald seems to be an advocate of the 4-3. So I'm going to show you guys the picture of this kid over on Twitter. In the picture, he looks very intimidating and imposing. So I'm going to stop that and close this. Yeah. So that's a picture of the kid. That's our new defensive tackle. He's going to be the anchor of our 3-4 defense. And so it'll be interesting to see how this new 3-4 defense plays with its and with our new coordinator and our younger players and this kid at nose tackle, and Clint Scales coaching up the secondary. Let's see what we have here. All the good ones are from Ohio. I think he's talking about all the Michigan players. Be serious. Harbaugh doesn't have a plan. Okay, there's some Jim Harbaugh smack. Jake Butt was from Ohio. Taco Charlton's from Ohio. Backup at best, has history of injuries. Okay, so John is talking about Jordan Whitley. 12 now. John Stoops, what do you mean by 12 now? Is it 12 injuries or 12? We have 12 transfers going out. We have 12 transfers coming in. What do you mean by 12? North Carolina worker. I think that stands for North Carolina. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Wolf says, just looked up his recruiting stats, 3-star out of high school. JUCO transfer. Then had decided between San Jose State and Oregon State. Good for U of M, but I'm not impressed. Okay, yeah. If you started at Laney College, I've never heard of Laney College, so that's a smaller college in California somewhere, according to what that article said. And then he transferred to Oregon State, so he's clearly been trying to work his way up. Obviously, the kid wants to go to the NFL. All of them do. But it doesn't sound like he was one of the top recruits in the nation out of high school. 25 years old. Okay, so he's older. He's older. Kareem's still hanging on here. Beard Gang, yep. 12 likes. Okay, so that's, you're talking about my likes. Thank you for that. Any double digit like number, I'm happy about. When I first started YouTubing on my original channel, that was one of the things I always looked out for, was how many likes do I have? How many likes do I have? So if it goes over double digits, I'm always content with that. Of course, you know, the more you get, the better. So that's the new kid. That's Jordan Whitley. He's 25 years old. I don't know. The article didn't say how many years of eligibility he has left. So it's got to be 1 to 2 years. But if he's able to get us some push up front, and if he's able to clog up the opposing team's running games in a meaningful way, then it will be worth him coming to Ann Arbor. So I'm going to close this one out. And I think before we get to the thing Wolf wants to talk about, I'm just going to report quickly on this, because I did take a quick look at the article. This article reads, three of Michigan's 5 starting offensive linemen are already decided. So we have the quarterback. We have the quarterback decided. And now we have 3 of our 5 offensive linemen decided. So I'm going to scroll down to the second paragraph. I'm not going to read this piece because I probably already read you guys to death. It says, head coach Jim Harbaugh spoke on John Jansen's In the Trenches podcast last week and revealed that Ryan Hayes, Andrew Stuber, and Zach Zinter are 3 players the staff knows will take on starting duties. Okay. So I think most of those guys, I know 2 of the guys played last season, so they have experience, and that's a good thing. I don't remember Zinter. The name looks vaguely familiar, so I think Zinter did play a little bit. So you have some experience. So the question will be who the final 2 pieces will be. Can they stay healthy and can they start to gel? But the cool thing is, if Cade McNamara can stay upright and if his shoulder can stay well, I think he showed enough to be able to get the ball out of there quickly as that young offensive line starts to gel. So then the other key pieces will be who will play running back. I think it's going to be they got to start with Hassan Haskins and balance the time with him and Donovan Edwards, the freshman. I believe that's his name, Donovan Edwards. So I think those are going to be our backs. And then at wide receiver, I think we're probably getting Cornelius Johnson back. He's got a year of experience. And then while we lost Giles Jackson, we still have Mike Sanders still. I'm not going to read this one in its entirety, but as I was looking through my email boxes, I see these things come up on my phone. I send them to one of my Gmail accounts, and I archive them for these purposes. So this one is entitled Evaluating Mike Sanders' Time at Michigan, Outlook for the Future. You know what? This is a short one, so I'll go ahead and read it, and this will be the last one before we get to the thing that Wolf 58 really wants to get to. And then I'll wrap up because we're at an hour and a half. I have a comment here. Let me see from I saw just a minute ago you were on live, but Went to peep in and could not find it. Facebook seems to be making some swift changes. Okay, so something's happening over on Facebook. Give me a second, guys. Well, I can still see it on my phone. So, okay, so Mike Samerstill. Samerstill's been handed an opportunity. Will he make the most of it? So Samerstill, Mike Samerstill. By the way, I've never seen that name before. Oh, Trevor Coles. Thank you for the super chat. Let me acknowledge this. My first two super chats came from, well, Buckeye Alex and also Kareen Henry. I know Kareen from over on one of my other in one of the other spaces. I have my original channel. I have a science channel, and I have an entertainment and media channel. So I know Kareen from over there. But Trepa, you are the first super chat from my crew over here. So I appreciate that. So Trepa Coles, you are officially my third super chat over here. Thank you. Much appreciated. One of the things I'm looking to do is upgrading my setup here so that I have an up-to-date camera and I have a much more fluid image, because right now I'm using the camera on my PC. That's not the best way to do this. It's okay when you start out, but as you keep going, you want to make upgrades as you go. And I have an LLC, so I can write that off as a business deduction. So Samerstill, he's a veteran. He's a small wide receiver like Giles Jackson. So he's not a big imposing target like Nico Collins was or Donovan Peoples-Jones, but a short, speedy guy. And now that Giles Jackson is gone, Mike's going to get more a chance for more catches. And that's a unique name, Samerstill. I never saw that name until I saw this kid. There are plenty of snaps to go around at wide receiver in 2021. Tariq Black and Donovan Peoples-Jones moved on the last offseason. Nico Collins and and some of these smaller blogs, sometimes there are errors that make it through. So when you're reading these things, it's not always easy. Nico Collins and Giles Jackson left this offseason. The case can be made that the remaining receivers stands to gain more than Mike Samerstill. Okay, there's a word missing. The case can be made that no receiver stands to gain more than Mike Samerstill. I'm a writer myself, so if you rush pieces out, it's easy for errors to make it through, which is why you have to take your time. The story so far. Samerstill hails from Everett, Massachusetts, and was recruited heavily by Don Brown. Everett High School is a powerhouse and won back-to-back state titles in 2016, 2017. In his senior year, Samerstill tallied 32 receptions for 792 yards and 12 touchdowns, along with 290 yards on the ground with 5 touchdowns. He was then named the Massachusetts Gatorade Player of the Year in 2018-2019. 24/7 Sports had Samerstill ranked 575th nationally, but first overall in the state of Massachusetts. Many recruiting sites ranked him as a cornerback. Oh, that's why Don Brown would have recruited him. However, Michigan decided to recruit him as an athlete, primarily at wide receiver. Listed generously at 5'10" and 175 pounds, Samerstill is certainly undersized, though many scouts have raved about his fluidity and speed in pads. As with most prospects from the Northeast, his scouting was limited as there aren't many camps available to be spotted at. St. Restill's offers included North Carolina, Ole Miss, Rutgers, Virginia Tech, and Wisconsin. St. Restill committed to Virginia Tech in February 2018 before flipping to Michigan later that year. In his true freshman year, Mike appeared in 13 games and made his first catch against Iowa. He then caught his first touchdown pass from Dylan McCaffrey in Michigan's 45-14 romp over Notre Dame at home. He received the occasional pass throughout the season and was a solid contributor on special teams. His final stat line as a freshman consisted of 8 receptions for 145 yards with 1 touchdown. As a sophomore, St. Restill continued to contribute on special teams, started the final game of the season at punt returner, and continued to improve at wide receiver. In a shortened 6-game schedule, St. Restill ended the year with 7 receptions for 82 yards and 2 scores. The first of those 2 touchdowns were the first touchdown thrown by Cade McNamara in his career against Wisconsin. So this last subsection is entitled Outlook Moving Forward. While the departure of Giles Jackson undoubtedly hurts Michigan, it presents an opportunity for Mike St. Restill to truly break out. While there are certainly plenty of speed and talent behind him in A.J. Henning and Roman Wilson, St. Restill is the most polished of the slot receivers. I expect to see Ronnie Bell and Cornelius Johnson start on the outside, while St. Restill in the slot to start the season. With St. Restill in the slot to start the season. What will truly dictate the success of Mike St. Restill is how consistent the quarterback play is. Cade McNamara and St. Restill started to develop some chemistry near the end of the season. The development and maturation of McNamara will play a vital role in the success of St. Restill. Josh Gaddis has preached speed and space religiously to the Michigan fan base. This may be the do or die year for that mantra, as Gaddis has all the weapons he needs in St. Restill, Henning, Wilson, Corum, and Donovan Edwards, just to name a few. I almost forgot that Ronnie Bell is coming back for his senior year, as well as those other guys below St. Restill. So it's a somewhat experienced room, or should I say wide receiver group. Ronnie Bell is going to be the dean of it. Cornelius Johnson might be the most talented. I think he's a tall kid. But but I think, as is always the case in football, on the offensive side, so much is going to fall on whether or not there is functional offensive line play, and at least good offensive line play, and also quarterback play. The offensive line was young during that fateful 2020 shortened season, and also Joe didn't look very polished. So if you don't have the best offensive line, it helps if your quarterback has some polish and some touch on the ball. And Joe didn't look 100% ready to go after the Minnesota game. So we can talk about the wide receivers all we want, but unless there's some pass protection back there, and unless your quarterback is making the right reads and doing the right things, that's not going to make much of a difference. So, all right, guys, I have one more thing on the dossier here, and that is what Wolf wants to get to. I was thinking it's always best to get to the bad news first, so the rest of it is good news. But we're going to end on some bad news, or some potentially bad news. So, all right, Wolf 58, this is for you. Let's jump into it. Let's see. So after Trepa's super chat, well, we have John Stoops. He sat out a year, That's why that's how he has a year left. So it sounds like Jordan Whitley has 1 year left. John also says that Wolf is in response to John says, I get sitting out a year or two, but he's 25. How does that happen? You know, the last older college player I remember is Chris Wenke from Florida State. He played quarterback under Bobby Bowden, and they had Snoop Menace and Peter Warwick and those guys. That's the last older college player that I remember. So, and you almost wonder, is it fair to have a kid that old still playing college football with kids who are 19 and 20 years old and 21 years old? But they made the rules. I didn't. John says, well, he was also academically ineligible his freshman year, so that may be the other year. Wolf says, okay, makes more sense. John says, plus JUCO doesn't count towards your years of eligibility. John Stoop says he was like 28. That's Chris Wenke, yeah, from Florida State. So he was much older when he played college football, which is kind of strange. Okay, so this is going to be the last article, guys, and then I'll see what comments come in the chat, and then I'll wrap up because we're at hour 33 minutes. So this is what Wolf really wants to see. And it surprised me, of course, when I saw it show up on my smartphone. And I hope that this is, depending upon the outcome of this fallout, this is going to be huge because Buckeye Alex, we here. Alex, did you see my text? I think it'll be really cool if we can do a live stream on the projections for the Ohio State program. So we'll talk offline. We'll get together, what information we can, because I don't know who the starting quarterback is going to be in Columbus this season. So, I mean, you probably obviously know. Wolf knows. But I think, it'll be good to do a live stream. I hope that doesn't spite my Michigan fans in here, but we're going to be looking at what Ohio State's doing the entire season. So I did put that in the trailer for my channel. If you haven't seen the trailer, shout out to my brother Amal, who taught me about trailers. On YouTube, they encourage you to create a trailer for new subs or new visitors to your channel so they can see what the channel's about and who you are and what you cover. So in my trailer, I put in Michigan football, Ohio State football, the Buffalo Bills, and also some basketball and just general sports stories because I want to start talking about my book project at some point. But I did put Ohio State in the trailer. So Alex said, all right, let's do it. So look for a live stream on the projections and who the starters are projected to be and what's happening in Columbus with Ryan Day and the Buckeye program. Okay, so on to what Wolf 58 really, really wants to talk about. And this is particularly troubling because one of the part of the allure of the Michigan program and part of the magic of the Michigan program is the history. Fritz Chrysler, Fielding Yost, Benny Ostervan, the long pantheon and history of the Michigan football coaches, the winning percentage, the fight song, the leaders and the best. That's a part of the Michigan football program. And at least in modern times, for our fan base, the grandfather of all of this is Glenn Bo Schembechler. Shout out to John U. Bacon. John U. Bacon wrote a whole book called Bo's Lasting Lessons. where he spent time with the grandfather of our program, and capturing his quotes and capturing his stories. Bo was the athletic director for the program, and actually going over to the basketball side, Bo Schembechler, once he retired as the Michigan football coach, he was athletic director for a number of years, and he's the one who actually fired Bill Frieder. And Bill Frieder was the coach of that 1988 NCAA men's basketball championship team for most of that season. So Bo fired Bill Frieder because Bill Frieder was in discussions with Arizona State. And Bo said, we're only going to have a Michigan man coaching Michigan teams. So that's when Steve Fisher got hired. Steve Fisher went on a Cinderella run with Glenn Rice, Ramil Robinson, Terry Mills, all those guys. They won the Final Four in Seattle. Steve Fisher recruited and coached up the Fab Five. And so Bo Schembechler's legacy and fingerprints are all over the Michigan football program and Michigan athletics. He's in the DNA. He's in the fabric of the entire university. So if Bo's, shout out to Johnny Bacon. I've met Johnny Bacon. I've read chapters from his books and my live streams. That's Johnny Bacon, the official historian of the Michigan football program and athletics. But so if for some reason Bo's legacy gets stained and besmirched, that's going to send a ripple effect, and it's gonna leave a foul stench, and it's gonna damage the program and the history of the university and the program, at least for the short term, more so than the scandal with the Fab Five and Chris Webber. This one would really hurt if we have a Joe Paterno thing happen in Ann Arbor, because now you got to rename. Do you keep the statue in front of Schembechler Hall? Do you keep the name Schembechler Hall? Is he still the godlike grandfather-like figure that he is now? So let's see what this is all about. This is entitled "Michigan Football Needs a Facelift," and this has been said quite a bit about bringing in new coaches. As you know, we're all in love with the Michigan man thing, and this is partially what tanked Rich Rodriguez, the fact that he wasn't a Michigan man. So this has other contexts for just outside of just this, but this has been discussed before. In the wake of recent findings surrounding Bo Schembechler and Dr. Robert Anderson, the Michigan football program needs to make some changes. Wolf, are you out there listening? There he is. Okay. Schembechler Hall needs to be renamed, and the statue of Bo outside of the building needs to come down. That's huge. If that comes down, that's huge. After an independent investigation, there's the hyperlink right here. And I'm going to make an effort, guys, to leave all the links in this video, in the description box below this live stream / video. After an independent investigation conducted by the law firm Wilmer Hale uncovered decades of sexual abuse by former University of Michigan employee. I'm sorry, there's a word missing there. By a former University of Michigan employee. School and football team Dr. Robert Anderson, a 240-page report was released on Tuesday. YouTube, please don't take this down. This is not anything against community guidelines, or this is reported news surrounding our football program. Nearly 600 former patients, of Anderson, came forward to share their experiences, often describing inappropriate and disturbing conduct by the former university doctor. Also, according to the report, Schembechler knew some of what the doctor was doing and did nothing about it. So this sounds eerily similar to Penn State and also what happened at Michigan State, because Michigan State had an issue with one of their athletic department doctors. Employed by the University of Michigan from 1966 to 2003, Anderson's habit of, So guys, when you're monetizing your videos, I just learned this. When you're monetizing your videos in YouTube, there's a box that you check that says monetize, and that's where all the ads come from, because YouTube is a business. And the advertisers and YouTube, they have to make a choice whether or not to put those ads in front of your content. So as I'm reading this, I'm thinking, are they going to monetize this, or are they going to discredit this? Anyway, I'll read it. I've already started reading it. Okay. Employed by the University of Michigan from 1966 to 2003. Anderson's habit of sexually assaulting his patients was reportedly common knowledge among Michigan's student athletes and even some officials. According to the report released by Wilmer Hale Anderson. According to the report released by Wilmer Hale, Anderson would often perform unnecessary examinations of students who were seeking treatment for unrelated issues. If Bo knew and didn't do anything he could to stop it, he's at least partially responsible for it. Given the findings of the report, Bo did know. Because of that, his image and likeness needs to be removed from Michigan football. So this is a potential Joe Paterno thing. If that does happen, there will probably be some fallout. Said fallout might even involve some pretty influential, powerful, and wealthy people who support Michigan football to the nth degree. The Michigan football program might lose decades of donors who fund scholarships for football and maybe even other non-revenue sports. There will likely be a massive double down on the mediocre/negative perception of Michigan football right now, and it might even negatively impact the local economy to an extent. It doesn't matter. Right is right and wrong is wrong. The right thing needs to be done, and it needs to be done rather quickly. Too many people want to protect the brand, the financial aspect of it all, the perception, and the legacy. Too often, that results in bad things getting swept under the rug, and nobody ends up doing what they're supposed to do. That's how you get to hundreds of victims over the course of 4 decades. If Michigan chooses to go that route and essentially does nothing, the concept of being leaders and best ceases to exist. All right, Wolf 58, there you go. That's what's happening. So again, this is huge because Bo is considered the patriarch and the grandfather of the program. His legacy and history is all baked into the university and the athletic program. When you think about Bo Schembechler, you think about pictures like this of him and the hat, the sunglasses. You think about this picture of him and Jimbo, and you think about this picture of him and Jimbo. I mean, this is what Brady Hoke was talking about when he uttered his famous words, "For God's sake." This is Michigan, for God's sake. It's what it's all about. And then imagine a Michigan football program with no mention of Bo Schembechler. And that's, you can, we thought it was huge when the history of the Fab Five was erased. So no Final Four banners. The records of those teams were the victories by that team were forfeited. And the people who saw it remember the Fab Five. We remember the Chris Webber timeout. We remember the run to the Final Four for the first time, the loss to Duke. We remember the run to the Final Four the second time and the timeout, the black socks, the shoes. The people who watched it, we remember that. Fortunately, ESPN documented it, so there's a nice documentary telling you about it. But imagine generations of people after now not really knowing and falling in love with the lore and the magic of Bo Schembechler being the Michigan football head coach and all of in his coaching tree. Imagine all that being wiped away. So I'm going to read the comments here, and I think that's a good place to conclude this live stream. So I'm going to read your comments, and we'll end shortly. So let's see where I left off. We left off talking about Jordan Whitley. Let's see. Buckeye Alex says, we hear. That is a nod to Sheed, we hear. So look out for an Ohio State live stream. AD says, let's do it. Herbert Lewis, contributor of the Michigan Man poem, says, promote your channel. Herbert Lewis says, Ramil Robinson and crew. That was the 1989 Final Four team that Steve Fisher led to the Final Four. Again, Bo Schembechler fired Bill Frieder and had Steve Fisher succeed Bill Frieder, and they went on to win the Final Four. Tron 7000 says, cancel Bo. A lot of people feel this way now. I'm going to have to ponder this. Certainly, just like Joe Paterno, if Bo knew, then he's partially liable for this as well. I mean, how could you hear about such things going on and not say something and not do something? Wolf 58 says, it's been long past due for the U of M community to remove the halo from Bo's head. Buckeye Alex says, firing Rich Rod set your program back 20 years. Let me look up my likes here. We're up to 15. I appreciate that. If you're new coming in, please like the stream. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Let me, looks like the AdSense is playing. The ads are playing with this. Skip ad. Okay. AD says he was the only coach I was afraid of. Yep, Rich Rod brought the spread offense. Lloyd ran the pro style offense. Wolf 58 says, then when you tell your coach about it, he tells you to toughen up. Well, Wolf, the question is, as I was thinking about that and as I was reading it, were those all girl or female athletes that he was doing that with, or was it the men as well? Because I know that at Michigan State, their doctor was accused of doing it to the women's gymnastics team. So I'm wondering, was it both genders or was it just the females? Okay, and YouTube, please don't take this down. We're just talking about an article about our Michigan football program. Wolf 58 says, to be fair, U of M isn't alone in this. Many coaches, administrators, and institutions have dropped the ball on this kind of stuff. Buckeye Alex says, I'll be home in 30. This is very bad. Wolf says he wore the sunglasses to hide his shame. Herb says, remove any mention of Bo. You may as well erase Michigan football. I would agree with that. And then the other interesting thing is, how will the fan base, as the article said, the donors, how will the donors take that? How will all of that, if Bo gets removed, what will the fallout be? Will it in part be financial? Because as we discussed prior to the start of the pandemic, a huge part of major college sports is economics. These are businesses. So Ward's had a tough go round. He's had to oversee the football team struggling. He's had to oversee Jim's coaching, ups and downs, and now he has to lead the athletic department through this crisis. So Ward's he's got some tough decisions to make now as well, as does the university president, the trustees, the registrar, all of them. I don't know if the registrar would be the regents. That's the word I meant to say. The regents, not the registrar. The registrar is associated with admissions and those kinds of things. But the regents, the board of regents, all those people have hard decisions to make now. And I don't envy them. Wolf says, all about cancel culture. No, John Stoops says, all about cancel culture, innocent until proven guilty, and then it's speculation. That's how things should be. I agree with that. But if Bo knew and he didn't say or do anything about it, then that's bad. Wolf 58 says, I can't even troll U of M on this one. It's too tragic. It transcends school loyalty. Wow. Wolf 58 says it was all male athletes. YouTube, please don't take this down. We're just talking about an article surrounding our football program. Nothing to see here. Wolf 58 says, removing Bo wouldn't be any worse than removing Paterno. Penn State recovered. So will Michigan. You know what, Wolf? I mean, you'll have to let us know, because I didn't go to Penn State. I'm not associated with their program. So I don't know, is Joe Pa, or was Joe Pa looked at the same way as Bo was? Because Bo, with the Michigan football program, again, when you look at our football programs, I'm looking to see if I have one handy here. One of my old Michigan football programs. Give me a second. I'm going to pull up one of my old Michigan football programs from the games I've gone to. As part of my purge, I need to put my stuff in bins and organize some of this stuff a little better. But I do have a stack of old Michigan football programs here. This is from some dust literally flew off this. This is from the Rich Rod era. So you have defensive lineman Will Henninger, Mike Martin, and Ryan Van Bergen. So in all these programs, they have, the history is huge. And they usually have a page dedicated. They have a page dedicated to all the academic All-Americans. They have pages dedicated to all the All-Americans. You got Desmond Howard and Jim's in here. You got David Terrell, Larry Foote, Mike Hammerstein. I don't know who that is. He was a Schembechler player. Benny Joprue. Mike Taylor. I don't because I wasn't following the program in the 1980s. I'm unfamiliar with all of Bo's players, but I do recognize some of the names. I'm trying to find a name I recognize. Like Ron Kramer was pre-Bo. Where's Reggie McKenzie? Was Reggie McKenzie? David Terrell, Rod Payne. I thought Reggie McKenzie would have been an All-American. Rick Leach was an All-American. These are okay. This is in chronological order. So this is going back to the Fielding Yost, Fritz Chrysler years. So yeah, I guess Reggie McKenzie wasn't an All-American. William Bubba Paris. Anthony Carter, number 1. Jumbo Elliott went on to win some Super Bowls with the New York Giants, won against my Buffalo Bills. Let's see. I'll read one more. Greg Skrapanak. Which NFL team did he play for? That's an unusual name, and I remember he did play for in the NFL and might have won a Super Bowl or 2. Okay. In any case, where is it in this one? Yep. You guys probably can't see this. I'll probably have to figure out how to scan this and show you guys. But all the head coaches are listed in these Michigan football programs. And at that point, this was during the Rich Rod. Actually, no. This was Brady. This was during Brady's tenure. So Brady was the head coach during this. This is the 2011 team season. So that's when they went to the Sugar Bowl. I think this is the year they went to the Sugar Bowl, or maybe the year afterwards. But all this, yeah, this is history. This is the lifeblood. Despite the wins and losses, despite the Ohio State record, the losses to Ohio State, a major component of the program is its lore and its historic, the history of it. Yeah, Bo was the coach from 1969 to 1989. So he was there for 20 years. His record was 194, 48, and 5 with 13 Big Ten championships. And then, and so then when you wipe away, if you wipe away the Bo Schembechler legacy, the Bo Schembechler history, do you know what else also gets compromised and potentially goes away? The Bo and Woody rivalry. I mean, can you have Michigan football without the Bo and Woody rivalry? Jeez, I mean, it's hard to imagine. Speaking of, since we mentioned Woody, I gotta do it, guys. I gotta bring it up. Give me a second here, if I can find it. Oh, I know where it is. Give me a second. You can't mention Woody without showing the Woody Hayes gif. Of course, it's taking forever to load up. Come on, StreamYard. It's right here on my computer. Here it is. Boom. You can't mention Woody without the Woody Hayes gif. I think I have the punch somewhere. but these gifts take so long to load up. I'm not going to worry about it today. Maybe when we do the Ohio State live stream, I'll bring up the Woody Hayes punch against the Clemson player as well. But I'm saying that to say that this is a part of the lore as well. Our grandpa against Ohio State's grandpa. And so what happens if you eliminate one of the grandpas? Now you still have the teams lining up at the end of November, but it just means a little bit more when you have our legendary head coach and you have Ohio State's legendary head coach. So let's see what happens with it. Certainly bad news. If it's true, it's going to be a black eye. Let's see. So Wolf says it was all male athletes. He says removing Bo wouldn't be any worse than removing Paterno. Penn State recovered. So Michigan. Easy for you to say. Wolf says, of course, Paterno was just as important to PSU football as Bo is to Michigan. Yes. Greg Scrapanak played for the Raiders. Yep, that was a name I heard with the black and silver. One of Abdul Gaines' former teams. Abdul Gaines switches teams like underwear. And Wolf 58 says the 10-year war. All right. Well, guys, it is we're at 2 minutes and we're at 2 hours and 3 minutes. So I think this is a good place to conclude this live stream. So I just wanted to do a catch up on the Michigan football news. It looks like we're going to have full capacity for the upcoming season. It looks like Cade McNamara is likely going to be the starting QB against Western Michigan, assuming no major injuries. Injuries can screw these things up sometimes. Mike Sainristil is going to probably be the slot receiver. We have 3 offensive linemen slated to already start in that position. We've got a defensive tackle transferring in from the Pac-12. We've got a new secondaries coach, Stephen Clinkscales, to replace Maurice Linguist. I'm trying to think. The time for the Ohio State game has been announced. It's going to be a noon kickoff on November 7th. We had several players go in the NFL draft. Despite our win-loss record over the last year, several players went in the draft. And then now we have this little pickle here. Well, it's not a little pickle. It's a big pickle. We have this big pickle here, which all of us will be looking to see the outcome of, as it will have far-reaching ramifications. Herb says, Wolves, you should eat a Snickers. You say a lot of outlandish things when you're hungry. I think that's directed at you, Wolf 58. And Corrine says, will you attend a game? You know what, Corrine? Yeah, I think I will. I didn't go to one in 2018 because there were a lot of financial things going on. And obviously last year we couldn't go to the games. But, once I take the proper safety precautions personally, I'll just say that. I think the chances are good for me taking a trip up to Ann Arbor to go to a game, because there is something magical. Going to the games is one thing. There is something magical about going into the big house to see one of the games. I used to live right around the corner from the big house. So going to one of the games is going back to my old neighborhood. I had the same apartment for the entire 6 years I was in Ann Arbor. So I actually passed by the big house every day to catch the commuter bus to go to my research lab. So it very much is like going home. But just going back to Ann Arbor itself is like going home. Though unfortunately, my favorite Chinese restaurant, Chinagate, closed its doors for good. So I can't go back and get the curry chicken, the Szechuan style curry chicken that I used to get, and the chop suey that I used to get. And even years after graduating from Michigan, they had the same staff at Chinagate. So even when I came back to Ann Arbor once or twice a year, when I walked in, they recognized me. That was kind of cool. And Chinagate was my, most of the time, that Szechuan style curry chicken from Chinagate was my Friday night dinner. I'd get it, get an egg roll, egg drop soup, and then that Szechuan style curry chicken. And after a long week at the lab, I'd go back to my apartment and eat that. That was some good eating, man. And for lunch, I would usually change it up and get the chop suey. Hope you guys don't mind me talking about Chinese food, but we're at the end of the live stream. But to answer your question, Kareen, yes, I probably will go back for a game this year once I take the proper safety precautions and those kinds of things. And there's also, if none of you have ever been to Michigan, there's also a chain there called Coney Island, which is basically greasy American food. So you can get chili cheese fries and Coney Island hot dogs with onions and mustard and chili and those kinds of things. But they are pork hot dogs. But if you only eat one once or twice a year, no harm done. In toxicology, we think of things in terms of the dose. So if you only have one or two once or twice a year, it's probably okay. But if you eat that stuff every week, not so much. Wolf 58 in response to Herb says, Herb Lewis, oh, you got jokes, huh? Yeah. You know, Herb's nickname over on his show, Herb and our buddy David Lorenzo Glover, the controversial counselor, they have their own show that they do during the week, twice a week. And Herb actually has a nickname. It's called the Big Bad Wolf. Oh, by the way, which is coincident, since your name, Wolf 58, is Wolf 58, Herbert's nickname is the Big Bad Wolf. So you guys are, in a way related. And that's a cool nickname, Herb, the Big Bad Wolf. Kareen says, and I'm going to shut this down, I hate baseball on TV, but watching it live is so fun. My younger brother and I went to Yankee Stadium back in the day. It was so much fun. Well, two summers ago, Kareen, before this whole thing happened, globally, I went to my very first Yankee game. My cousin in Long Island got tickets to see the Yankees and the Braves play 4th of July week. So that was my first time ever going to see the Yankees play. My dad is from New York City. So that was my first time. But that was in the new stadium. I never went in old Yankees stadium. Never really got into baseball as much because my dad was a baseball guy, but my parents split when I was 3. So I grew up mostly watching basketball first. And then when the Buffalo Bills got really good, that's when I started watching football. And off in the distance, I could see this team with maize and blue colors and winged helmets, but I didn't really follow Michigan football until the 1997 national championship year. And then once I got into graduate school, that's when I really started following Michigan football. And that was, of course, Tom Brady's last year. And and that's when I really became invested in the team and the history. So guys, I'm going to stop this here. Kareen says, I'm not a Yankees fan, by the way, but the experience was nice. Abdul Gaines, sometimes you see Abdul Gaines in the chat. Him and his brother, for whatever reason, they're really, really passionate Mets fans. I don't know why, but they're passionate Mets fans. Herbert Lewis says, Wolf, always, LOL. Wolf 58 says, he stole my name. Kareem says, I went to the old stadium. Herb, maybe, I don't know. We could talk offline. But I don't know where you got the nickname, the Big Bad Wolf, from. But it's you're the first one I know who has that nickname. So guys, so that's this live stream. Just some updates on Michigan football. There'll be more as we get closer to kickoff, as we get closer to the season. I think these next 3 months are going to go by really, really quickly, especially with things opening up for everybody. So look for me to waterfall my content and take clips out. Shout out to the Jaguar podcast and Andy for teaching me that trick. And I'll, be sure to report other news as it comes up as we get closer to the NFL season. I'm a Buffalo Bills guy. Hold on a second. I am a Buffalo Bills guy. So, we're going to do some stuff over the summer, discussing how the Bills are going to look. One of my, someone I follow over on Twitter who follows me, had some very, very choice words about the Buffalo Bills and how much he thinks the Bills are going to suck once Josh Allen has to play in front of fans. So we had some fun. Me, my best friend, and my uncle, we had some fun when the Bills made their small playoff run. So there's going to be some more Buffalo Bills content. The NBA playoffs are just getting started. I'm going to start creating content on my book project as well. Buckeye Alex says they're going to stink. I think he's talking about the Buffalo Bills. Look for me and Alex to do some content on the Ohio State football program. And also my buddy, Officer Faulkner. I want to do a live stream on wrestling. Officer Charles Faulkner, if you follow any of my other channels, particularly my original channel, I have a buddy who I team up with. We call it the Doc and the Cop. Officer Charles Faulkner. Wrestling was a major part of his life and who he went on to become. And so I never really had much exposure to wrestling in high school, as my high school the Buffalo public school system was poor. So we didn't have wrestling as a winter sport. We did watch our share of WWF and AWA and NWA wrestling. So Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan and those things. But the actual sport of wrestling, I never really had exposure to it. So I think I'm going to have Charles come over and we're just going to talk about wrestling at some point and what that was like and what the sport entails. So there are going to be a bunch of things that are going to come up, but through it all, watch out for more Michigan football. So I want to thank everyone for who hung on for this stream. I know people jump in and they jump out. But I want to thank you for everyone who at least clicked on the stream to see what I was talking about. I did cover a lot. Some of you hung on to the end, like Kareem Henry and like Wolf 58. I really appreciate that. These channels and these live streams are a lot about community. It's not just about the algorithm, but it's also about community as well. And it really, I wouldn't be doing this if you guys didn't come and support. If you're watching on the playback, and I want to thank, I think it was Trepa for the one super chat that I got. That option is available now as well in case you guys want to leave a tip during the streams. But I'm going to stop this here. Thank you for everyone who was here. If you're new to the channel and you're watching this on the playback, please like the stream and also please subscribe to the channel. We just reached 1,000 subs, but I want to keep going and drive the subscribership up as much as possible. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Oh, by the way, for those of you who don't know, there are actually 4 Big Discussions channels. This is the sports channel, but there's an original channel. There's a science and technology channel, which was resurrected from the dead. and there's an entertainment and media channel as well. So feel free to subscribe to any of those. Now that my main channel has crossed 1,000, my plan is to use that as my main hub. So once my community tab is set up, I can share the other channels over there and I can just try to grow everything. But I'm using a house of brands approach. But I want to try to grow out the science channel and the entertainment and media channel over there. And at some point, I want to partner with Kareen over on the entertainment and media channel, because I think she has some things she wants to say and talk about. And if you're into movies or books or TV series or shows, that's what I talk about over on that channel. But I'm going to stop. I see people coming in as I'm trying to stop here. Please enjoy the rest of your weekend. Be safe. We're actually doing a stream over on an interesting stream over on my original channel tomorrow. But please enjoy the rest of your Saturday, the rest of your weekend. Please be safe out there. Okay, I got to read this comment. Word is Muyu, M-U. I've never seen it written that way. Word is U of M just got a big dude from Oregon State. Is the guy who is gonna save Jimmy Snake Oil's job. I love the nicknames. Hairball, Harblow, the Khaki Man, Old Khaki Pants, Jimmy Snake Oil. So I queued up these pictures. I didn't get a chance to show them. But Jim does have his fair share of detractors, including Mike Valenti and none other than Paul Feinbaum. And I shudder to think what nicknames they have for Jim Harbaugh. But in any case, to your question, I don't know that he's going to save Jimmy Snake Oil's job, but I think if he stays healthy and he can stay on the field, he'll be an integral piece of Mike Macdonald's new 3-4 defense. So we're going to see a scheme change. Don Brown, of course, ran his Viper. He got some good years out of it until people figured it out and until there was that attrition. But Mike Macdonald, who came over from the Baltimore Ravens, according to the article I read on Jordan Whitley, Mike Macdonald's going to run a 3-4. So 2 defensive ends and 1 nose tackle. So hopefully for however long this Jordan Whitley kid is going to be in Ann Arbor, hopefully he will be the anchor for that defense, and he will help turn it around so that it's not a sieve like it was last season. All right, everyone. Please like, share, subscribe. Also, especially if you're new, please like, share, and subscribe. And as you know, as always, your attitude determines your altitude. Go blue. I usually do those in reverse, but take care, and I will talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.